Then you look around and call it your reality. You convince yourself that the world did this to you, that fate, family, or bad luck boxed you in. But the truth is, you built the box with your own hands. And every excuse you make keeps you there. Excuses don't protect you, they imprison you. The reason most people never become who they're supposed to be isn't because they lack talent or opportunity. It's because they lack ownership. They're addicted to the comfort of blaming something else. Because when you blame something else, you get to stay the same. You get to keep your habits, your laziness, your fear, and still feel like the victim. That's the trap of excuses. They give you relief without progress. They let you feel right while being wrong. They let you feel justified while staying stagnant. You get a small hit of emotional comfort every time you explain away your potential, and that comfort becomes your drug. You start chasing the feeling of being understood instead of the result of being great. But let's be honest, you're not tired because life is unfair. You're tired because you've been wasting energy avoiding responsibility. You're not unmotivated because the path is too hard. You're unmotivated because you've convinced yourself it's okay not to try. Every excuse you tell yourself is a chain that keeps you bound to mediocrity. You said maybe tomorrow so many times that tomorrow became your escape plan for everything you feared doing today. You said I'll start when I feel ready so often that readiness became a fantasy. You've used I'm just figuring things out as camouflage for procrastination. You don't need another excuse. You need a confrontation with yourself. You gotta stop romanticizing your struggle and start attacking your stagnation. Because there are people out there with less than you, who started with nothing, who didn't have support, who didn't have guidance, but they made a way. Not because life was easier for them, but because they refused to speak the language of weakness. They didn't make excuses, they made adjustments. That's the difference. Excuses say, I can't because. Responsibility says, I will until. And that shift in mindset changes everything. The second you stop saying, I can't, and start asking, how can I? You take back control of the story. You spent too long defending your limits. Every time someone challenges you to go harder, you list all the reasons why it's not possible. You don't understand my situation. You don't know what I've been through. Maybe don't talk. But that doesn't change the fact that your future doesn't care about your past. Your dreams don't care about your excuses. Success doesn't care how you feel. You either show up and do what needs to be done or you get left behind. Life is not waiting for you to feel ready. It's moving whether you move or not. And every excuse you make is another day wasted watching others live the life you keep talking about. It's time to realize that excuses are not harmless. They are self-sabotage in disguise. Every time you say, I can't, you're reinforcing the belief that you're powerless. Every time you blame your circumstances, you're handing your power to them. And that's the truth you've been avoiding. Excuses feel safe because they remove pressure. They make you feel like you're not the problem. But when you remove pressure, you remove growth. You can't evolve if you're always protecting your comfort. Growth requires confrontation. It requires discomfort. It requires you to look yourself in the mirror and say, it's not them, it's me. It's me. Until you can do that, until you can face your reflection without hiding behind a reason, you'll never break free. The difference between the people who win and the people who don't isn't opportunity, it's ownership. Winners don't waste time explaining why they can't. They wake up and find a way. They fall, they fail, they bleed, but they don't excuse. Because they understand excuses and execution can't coexist. One has to die for the other to live. And the one that dies determines your destiny. If you want to rise, you've got to kill the language of weakness. You've got to stop justifying your limits and start destroying them. You weren't born to make excuses. You were born to overcome them. Somewhere along the line, life beat you down and you started to believe that you couldn't fight back. You started to believe that your situation was too heavy, but you survived worse. You've already made it through storms that should have broken you. You've endured pain that others would have quit under. So why are you still acting like you can't handle hard? You can. You always could. You just forgot. Excuses made you forget your power. They made you forget strength. But deep down, that fire is still there. You can feel it when you hear something like this. That pull inside you that says, he's talking about me. That's your potential calling you out. So stop defending your weakness and start defending your destiny. Stop explaining why you're not where you want to be and start fixing it, because no one's coming to save you. No one's going to hand you motivation. No one's going to beg you to be great. It's on you. It's always been on you. It's always been on. The world doesn't owe you understanding. It owes you opportunity. And you've already been given that. You're alive. You're breathing. That's all the permission you need. Every excuse you make from this moment forward is a choice to stay the same, a choice to quit on yourself, a choice to waste the gift of another day. You've got to make a decision right now that you're done speaking the language of weakness, that from this moment forward, your actions will speak louder than your circumstances. That no matter how unfair, how painful, or how uncertain life gets, you will not use it as a reason to stop. You will use it as a reason to grow. Because every excuse you destroy takes you one step closer to freedom. The kind of freedom that comes when you realize the only thing that was ever holding you back was you. Two, pain is something everyone in this world experiences. It's the one thing we all have in common. But how you respond to that pain determines who you become. You can let it make you stronger or let it break you down. Excuses are what people create when they refuse to face pain head on. They use them to hide, to cover up their fear of growth, their discomfort with change, their unwillingness to face the truth. Pain is inevitable. It's part of the process of living, part of the process of becoming. But suffering, that ongoing state of weakness and regret, that's a choice. It's the choice to sit in the same place, complain about what you don't have, and defend the very reasons you're not moving forward. Most people don't realize that every excuse is a form of self-sabotage. You tell yourself you're tired, so you skip the workout. You tell yourself you're not ready, so you don't start the business. You tell yourself you've been hurt too much, so you stop trusting anyone. All those reasons sound like protection, but they're really prisons. When you stop making excuses, you're forced to face your pain. And that's exactly where transformation happens. Pain doesn't come to destroy you, it comes to reveal you. It strips away the lies, the ego, the comfort, and the illusions you built around your potential. Every time life hits you, it's not trying to punish you. It's trying to wake you up. It's trying to show you that there's more inside of you than you've been showing. The people who grow the most are not the ones who avoid pain. They're the ones who confront it. They're the ones who look it in the face and say, "You will not control me." The truth is, pain is the most honest teacher you'll ever have. It doesn't care about your excuses, your reasons, or your past. It will keep showing up until you learn the lesson it's trying to teach you. Excuses, on the other hand, are the enemies of that growth. They turn every challenge into a wall, every opportunity into a burden. When you make excuses, you're telling life, "I'm not ready for more." You're handing away your power in exchange for temporary comfort. But here's the painful truth. Comfort never creates strength. Nothing great has ever come from comfort. You don't grow in safety. You grow in discomfort, in challenge, in the moments where you want to quit but don't. The people who win at life aren't the ones who had the easiest path. They're the ones who took the hardest hits and still kept moving. At some point, you've got to stop protecting your weakness. You've got to stop giving your pain a microphone and start giving your purpose the spotlight. The difference between pain and suffering is in your reaction. Pain says, this hurts. Suffering says, this will always hurt. Pain is temporary. Suffering is what you create when you refuse to move on. When you use your pain as fuel, you grow stronger. When you use it as an excuse, you stay stuck. You've got to understand that your excuses are what keep your pain alive. Every time you tell yourself you can't, you feed the same fear that broke you before. Every time you say it's too hard, you give permission for weakness to live rent-free in your mind. Stop thinking the pain is your punishment. It's not. It's your preparation. Every scar, every heartbreak, every failure was shaping you into someone who could handle more. But if you keep making excuses, you'll never find out what that more looks like. You'll stay trapped in the version of yourself that's afraid to evolve. The truth is, growth hurts, change hurts, discipline hurts, but so does staying the same. So does watching years go by knowing you could have done more. You have to choose which kind of pain you want. The pain that builds you, or the pain that builds you, or the pain that breaks you. One will transform you, the other will define you. Every time you give up when things get tough, you rob yourself of your future strength. You keep resetting your progress because you refuse to endure temporary discomfort. But the people who push through pain are the ones who discover their power. You've got to learn to see pain as proof that you're alive, proof that you're growing. When it burns, when it stings, when it tests your patience, that's when you're changing. Don't run from it. Don't cover it up with excuses. Face it. Feel it. Let it break the weak parts of you so the strong parts can rise. The moment you stop making excuses, you'll start seeing how powerful you really are. Because most of your limits are self-imposed. You convince yourself that your situation, your past, or your environment is what's holding you back. But it's not the world that's stopping you. It's the story you keep telling yourself about why you can't. Excuses make you feel safe, but they also make you powerless. When you say, I can't, you're handing your future over to fear. When you say, I will, you take it back. You can't escape pain, but you can decide what it does to you. It can either become your excuse or your motivation. You can let it define your weakness or refine your strength. The world doesn't reward people who run from pain. It rewards those who learn from it. You've got to decide to stop feeling sorry for yourself and start fighting for yourself. No one's coming to save you. No one's going to hand you the life you want. You got to stop making excuses and start making progress. So the next time you're tempted to complain about how hard it is, remember this: pain is not the enemy. Excuses are. Pain will push you toward your purpose if you let it. Excuses will pull you away from it every time. Stop hiding behind stories that make you feel better and start living the story that makes you stronger. While you're saying it's too hard, somebody's learning how to do it anyway. While you're blaming your situation, somebody's using the same situation as fuel to break out. The difference isn't luck or talent or timing. It's hunger. It's the decision to stop letting excuses control your destiny. The future version of you, the one that has everything you're praying for, is watching you right now. He's waiting for you to stop lying to yourself. He's waiting for you to stop saying, I can't, when what you really mean is I won't. He's waiting for you to stop wasting energy explaining why you're not ready. Because that version of you can only exist when you finally decide to stop making excuses. Every I'm tired, every I'm not good enough, every or maybe later is the reason you're not where you should be. You're not being held back by your circumstances, you're being held back by your mindset. Your excuses have become your comfort zone, and that's exactly why you're stuck. You can't move forward while you're busy justifying why you're standing still. The moment you start explaining your limitations, you start living inside them. Excuses are chains, invisible but heavy enough to keep you exactly where you are. They sound harmless because they feel true, but they're not. They're lies you tell yourself to avoid accountability. You say, I don't have the right resources, but you got a phone in your hand with access to every piece of knowledge on earth. You say, I don't have support, but you've got the power to support yourself through discipline. You say, I'm too busy, but you waste hours scrolling, complaining, procrastinating. You don't lack time, you lack focus, you don't lack opportunity, you lack courage. And what's worse is that your excuses don't just affect you. They affect your future, your family, your legacy. Every time you settle, you're teaching yourself how to quit. You're programming your mind to believe that average is enough, but it's not. Because deep down, you know you were built for more. You can feel it. That tension between where you are and where you could be. That's not frustration. That's your potential begging you to wake up. But it can't thrive if you keep defending your limitations. You can't hold on to your excuses and your dreams at the same time. One has to go. Excuses don't protect you. They poison you. They eat away at your confidence, your belief, your drive. The more you use them, the weaker you become. You start to believe them. You start to see yourself as a victim instead of a creator. You start to think life is happening to you instead of for you. But the truth is, every excuse you make is a choice to give away your power. You think it's harmless to say, I'll do it later, but later turns into weeks, weeks into months. And before you know it, years have gone by and you're still in the same place. Not because you didn't have the chance, but because you didn't take it. Imagine what your life could look like if you stopped explaining your limitations and started exploring your possibilities. Imagine if you stopped saying I can and started saying I will. Imagine if you use that same energy you spend defending your excuses on building your discipline, you become unstoppable. Because excuses don't build you, they break you. They steal your drive before you even begin. The people who win in life aren't the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who refused to let their excuses define them. They took responsibility. They said, I don't care how hard it is. I'll find a way. And because of that decision, they built something powerful, something lasting. You've got to stop romanticizing struggle and start mastering it. Stop talking about how hard it is. Of course it's hard. That's what makes it worth it. Growth was never supposed to feel good. It was supposed to test you, stretch you, evolve you. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is the story you keep telling yourself about why you can't have it. Change the story and you'll change your life. You're not weak. You're just undisciplined. You're not unlucky. You're just inconsistent. You're not lost. You're just distracted. And the cure to all of that starts when you stop making excuses and start taking action. One day, you'll look back at your life and realize that your excuses cost you everything you ever wanted. Don't let that be your story. Don't be the person who talks about what they could have done. Be the person who did it, who fought through pain, through fear, through doubt, and built something that couldn't be denied. Your future is waiting for you to take responsibility. Stop protecting your weakness and start protecting your potential. You've wasted enough time defending your excuses. Now it's time to destroy them. Because the truth is, the life you want will never belong to the person who makes excuses. It will always belong to the one who takes full control, no matter how hard it gets. 5. Accountability is the point where the excuses end and the real version of you begins. It's the mirror you can't lie to, the spotlight that exposes every corner of your effort or lack of it. Most people run from accountability because it's uncomfortable to face the truth, to admit that maybe the reason they're not where they want to be isn't because of circumstances, people, or luck, but because of their own choices. Accountability forces you to stop blaming and start building. It's not glamorous, it's not easy, but it's the foundation of every transformation. You cannot grow in denial. You cannot rise while hiding from the truth. Growth demands that you look at yourself with brutal honesty and say, this is on me. That's where real power begins. Not in excuses, not in waiting for motivation, but in owning your reality completely. They say things like, I don't have time, I wasn't given a chance, I'll start when things are better. But every time you say that, you hand over control of your life to something outside of you. You let your power slip through your fingers because accountability requires ownership, and ownership requires courage. It's not easy to say, I messed up. It's not easy to say, I could have done better. But the moment you start doing that, the moment you take responsibility for everything in your life, you unlock the ability to change it. When you're accountable, you stop negotiating with yourself. You stop making deals with your weakness. You don't give yourself the option to quit because accountability doesn't ask for feelings, it demands action. It doesn't care if you're tired, if you're sad, if you're scared. Let me ask one question. Did you do what you said you were going to do? When the answer is yes, you build strength. When the answer is no, you face truth. Both make you grow. That's what excuses can never give you. Growth. They keep you comfortable, safe, untouched by challenge. Accountability, on the other hand, makes you uncomfortable, and that's exactly why it works. It breaks the illusion that you're trying hard when you're not. It exposes the gap between your potential and your performance. There's a certain kind of freedom that comes with accountability. Once you realize that everything in your life, the good, the bad, the average, is your responsibility, you stop waiting for someone else to save you. You stop expecting the world to change for you, and instead, you start changing for the world you want. Accountability gives you power because it puts your life back in your hands. Accountability is not punishment, it's freedom. It's the key that unlocks every locked door in your potential, but only if you're brave enough to face it. 6, you have to stop lying to yourself. That's what it really comes down to. Because every excuse you make, every justification you whisper in your mind, every reason you give yourself for not doing what you said you would do, it's all a lie. And the worst part is those lies don't just disappear. They start stacking, layer after layer, until you can't even recognize the truth anymore. You start believing your own excuses. You start convincing yourself that you're tired, that you don't have time, that the world is unfair, that success isn't meant for people like you. And with every lie, you bury your potential deeper. You bury the version of you that was supposed to rise, that was supposed to change everything. You become your own worst enemy because you've trained your mind to protect your comfort instead of your greatness. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. You tell yourself you're doing your best, but deep down, you know you're not even close. You've built an entire belief system around your excuses. You've turned them into armor to protect yourself from guilt. Not at the right opportunity. While I wasn't feeling motivated, people don't support me. That's what weak minds do. They look for something or someone to blame because it's easier to point the finger than to face the mirror. But the truth doesn't care about your excuses. The truth is you've been slacking, avoiding, procrastinating, hiding behind comfort because you're afraid of failure, afraid of struggle, afraid of looking like you're trying too hard and still not winning. But that's where growth is born, in the struggle, in the grind, in those moments when you could give up, but you don't. You have to stop defending your limitations. Stop being the lawyer for your own weakness. Every time you explain why you can't do something, you're strengthening the very chains that keep you stuck. You're feeding the beast of mediocrity. You're watering the weeds of fear. And what you water grows. If you keep feeding your excuses, they will consume your destiny. You'll look back years from now and realize you didn't fail because life was unfair. You failed because you were too scared to face the truth about yourself. You wanted the reward without the risk, the victory without the war. But life doesn't work that way. You don't get to talk your way into success. You earn it by stripping away every excuse until there's nothing left but pure effort and accountability. At some point, you have to stop justifying the gap between where you are and where you want to be. You have to stop saying, I'm trying. Cause trying means nothing if you're not doing. Like trying is the language of people who want sympathy instead of progress. You either did it or you did. You either woke up early or you did. You either executed or you made an excuse. The world doesn't reward intent. It rewards execution. You can have all the potential in the world, but if you keep lying to yourself, you'll die with it still inside you. You need to develop a zero tolerance policy for your own excuses. The moment that voice in your head says, I can't, you shut it down. You tell it, I don't negotiate with weakness. You build discipline so strong that even when your emotions scream or quit, your actions say a go. That's the difference between those who win and those who wish. Winners still feel fear, but they don't let it control them. They still feel tired, but they don't stop. They've trained their minds to override excuses with execution. Because once you stop giving yourself an out, your mind has no choice but to find a way. You have to be brutally honest with yourself. Sit in silence and ask, am I really doing everything I can? Or am I just pretending to be busy? Because if you're being real, most of your days are filled with distractions disguised as effort. You scroll instead of study. You plan instead of act. You wait instead of move. And then when nothing changes, you say, I tried. No, you didn't. You only tried until it got uncomfortable. You only tried until it demanded sacrifice. You only tried until your excuses started sounding more convincing than your dreams. The truth is harsh, but it's also freeing. It's also freeing. Because once you stop lying to yourself, you start seeing possibilities. You start realizing how much power you actually have. You start taking back control from the part of you that's been keeping you small. When you strip away excuses, you reveal the truth. And the truth is, you've always been capable. You just needed to stop protecting your weakness and start demanding more from yourself. You don't need more motivation. You need accountability. You need that cold mirror truth every morning that says, you didn't do enough yesterday, do more today. You need to become allergic to your own excuses. You need to stop celebrating intentions and start executing actions. Because when you truly stop lying to yourself, you will start rising faster than you ever imagined. Your excuses might have built your comfort, but honesty will build your empire. So stop telling yourself stories that make failure feel okay. Stop dressing up laziness as a rest. Stop masking fear as a patience. Stop calling inconsistency a balance. These are just pretty names for excuses. The moment you kill them, your true power awakens. Because deep down, you don't need another chance. You just need to stop wasting the one you already have. The world doesn't owe you a thing. You owe it to yourself to wake up, face the truth, and grind without mercy until the life you dream of becomes the life you live. 7. There comes a point where you have to stop waiting for the perfect time, the perfect conditions, or the perfect feeling, and just move. Because that's what separates the ones who make it from the ones who stay stuck. Movement. 1. The ones who make it stop talking about what they're going to do and start doing it, even when it doesn't make sense, even when they're scared, even when no one's watching. They stop romanticizing the idea of change and actually live it. See, you can read every motivational quote, watch every video, plan every step, but none of it means a thing if you don't move. Progress doesn't come from thinking. It doesn't come from waiting. It comes from waiting. It comes from acting, from stepping into the unknown when everything in you wants to hesitate. The truth is, action kills excuses. Every time you take a step, you silence that voice in your head that says you can. You build evidence that you're capable. You create momentum, and that momentum becomes the force that breaks every wall between you and your goals. But most people never build it. Oh, they stay stuck in their minds, analyzing, overthinking, fearing the outcome before they even begin. They keep waiting for motivation to strike, not realizing that motivation comes after you move, not before. You can't think your way into greatness. You have to grind your way there. The universe doesn't reward the ones who plan. It rewards the ones who act. You've got to understand that hesitation is the death of progress. Every second you spend doubting is a second you could have spent building. Every time you say, I'll start tomorrow, you're teaching your brain that it's okay to delay your dreams. You're teaching yourself to live small. You're creating a pattern that slowly kills your potential. The mind loves comfort. It will always give you reasons to wait. But nothing grows in comfort. Nothing changes when you're still. You have to learn to move before you feel ready, because you never will. You'll always have a reason, an excuse, a fear. But greatness doesn't wait for readiness. It demands courage in the face of doubt. People love to say, I'm waiting for a sign. Here's the truth. The sign is the discomfort you feel right now. The sign is that burning inside you that says, I can't stay like this anymore. That's not anxiety. That's your potential trying to wake you up. The sign is that voice in your head that says you were made for more, but you're wasting time. The sign is that regret you feel when another day passes and nothing changes. That's your warning. And the more you ignore it, the louder it gets. Until one day you'll look back and realize the sign was there all along. You just didn't move. Taking action doesn't mean you won't fail. You will. You'll mess up. You'll stumble. You'll doubt yourself. But that's how you learn. Every mistake becomes a lesson. Every setback becomes a stepping stone. The people you admire didn't have more talent than you. They just didn't stop. They didn't make excuses when it got hard. They didn't wait for the right mood or the right motivation. They built momentum out of discipline. They took imperfect action and turned it into mastery. You have to do the same. You have to be okay with failing forward, because the only real failure is doing nothing at all. When you move, something powerful happens inside you. You start believing again. You start building trust with yourself. Every promise you keep strengthens your confidence. Every task you finish builds self-respect. And that's what you've been missing. Not motivation, but trust. You don't trust yourself because you've broken too many promises to your own soul. You've said, oh, tomorrow too many times. You've quit too many times. You've let yourself down so often that now your words mean nothing to your own mind. The only way to rebuild that trust is through consistent action. You prove to yourself that this time is different, that this time you mean it. And it's not about massive leaps every day. It's about small, deliberate steps done relentlessly. You don't have to overhaul your life overnight. You just have to start. One workout, 1 hour of study, one new habit. Because once you start, the hardest part is over. Momentum will take care of the rest. The body in motion stays in motion. The mind focused on growth will crave more of it. You just have to overcome that first resistance, that voice that says, not today. The moment you silence that voice, you're free. Stop making movement conditional. Stop saying, I'll act when I feel ready, when I feel inspired, when I have more time, when I have more time. Because that time will never come. The more you delay, the more your dreams fade. You need to act even when you don't feel like it, because that's how discipline is built. You have to move when it's hard. You have to move when no one is cheering. You have to move when the results aren't showing yet. That's the grind that shapes champions. That's the process that breaks the weak and molds the relentless. Look around. Everyone's talking, everyone's planning, everyone's dreaming, but only a few are doing. And those few, they're the ones who win. They're the ones who move while others wait. They're the ones who turn some day into a day. They don't have time for excuses because they know time doesn't wait. They live by one rule: if it matters, move now. Not tomorrow, not later, now. Because every second you hesitate, someone else is moving. Someone else is grinding. Someone else is turning your excuses into their advantage. So move. Move before you're ready. Move before you're confident. Move before you have it all figured out. Because once you take that first step, the path starts to reveal itself. The doors start opening. The universe starts aligning. But it only happens when you move. Stop waiting for life to change and start being the one who changes it. The moment you stop standing still, everything starts shifting in your favor. Action is your loudest statement. Action is how you tell the world you're done making excuses. Action is how you prove to yourself that you were never stuck. You were just standing still. So get up, move right now. Not next week, not when it's convenient, right now. Because this moment is the only one you'll ever control. Don't waste it thinking, don't waste it doubting. Every second counts, every step matters, and every excuse you kill takes you one step closer to the life you were meant to live. You've spent too long explaining your pain instead of escaping it. Too long talking about what you want to do instead of doing it. Too long convincing yourself that a one die is coming, when the truth is it's already here. This is that day. This is that moment. The question is, are you going to keep letting your excuses speak louder than your effort? Or are you finally going to silence them and step into the version of you that doesn't negotiate with weakness? Because every second you hesitate, your potential fades a little more. Every time you say, I'll start tomorrow, you push your greatness one step further away. But when you stop waiting, when you decide that enough is enough, when you move without permission, that's when everything changes. You have to understand that the world doesn't listen to talkers, it listens to doers. Nobody remembers the ones who almost made it, who almost tried, who almost changed. The world only remembers those who got up when it hurt. Those who pushed through when no one believed in them, those who refused to make another excuse. You owe it to yourself to be that person. You owe it to the version of you that's been buried under fear, doubt, and hesitation. You owe it to that inner voice that's been screaming, I can be more. Because if you don't fight for that version, no one else will. This life is short. Every excuse you make steals time you can never get back. You think you have time, but you don't. Time is the one thing you'll never control, and it's slipping right now. With every lazy thought, with every wasted hour, with every reason you give yourself to stay the same. You either take control of it, or it takes control of you. There is no middle ground. And when you realize that, when you understand that every second counts, you start to move differently. You stop waiting for perfect conditions and start creating them. You stop needing validation and start demanding results. You stop living like a victim and start acting like the author of your own story. So here's the truth. No one's coming to save you. No one's going to knock on your door and hand you the life you've been dreaming of. That's on you. The power, the discipline, the focus, the hunger, it's already inside you. You just have to stop making excuses long enough to see it. Stop talking about how hard it is and remember why you started. Stop replaying the pain and start rewriting your future. The time for comfort is over. The time for action is now. Because in the end, when it's all said and done, the world won't remember your excuses. It will remember your results. It will remember how you rose when you could have quit. How you stayed committed when it would have been easier to walk away. How you built something from nothing. So stop explaining why you can't. Start proving why you will. Your life doesn't change when you want it to. It changes when you decide it must. And that decision starts right now.